I cannot believe I didn't know about these resources sooner. Getting the right precedent images and the right references to start a design project is extremely essential and important. It's an item that in the past I've sometimes looked over and didn't even want to look at other resources because I thought I was cheating or being influenced by those. But that is just not the case. Understanding and looking at what is out there and what is available and then applying it to your particular circumstance is really the food for design. You need that information, you need the data, and you need the visual graphics to reference to inspire your project and help you along the way. At some point, we can definitely get into the differences between copying a piece of art and finding inspiration from a piece of art. This has been a long-standing argument and topic of discussion and something that we can continue to discuss. But what's important here is building up the right repertoire and being really critical about the images and references that you use is just really important to the design process. So today we're going to go over some of my favorite resources and some items that I discovered recently but are just really helpful and I think will really help the design process and help your project along the way, especially with developing a visual language for your project. The first resource that we're going to take a look at is Fonts in Use. So this is a really helpful website for finding different graphics, especially when it comes to identifying the particular fonts a design is using. So what I love about this website is it has plenty of graphic design examples, but then it also shows the corresponding font pairings that they use for each one of these graphics. Another aspect that I like about this is different ways that you can categorize this. So for instance, I could just look at branding and identity. And let's just click on one of these things, anything that kind of stands out to you. This one kind of looks interesting. You can click on this and then it will have an explanation. It will have the color palettes that it uses and go through some examples. And at this point, you can start looking and discovering items that not only that speak to you, but then also items as you're going along that might be applicable to your project. So for instance, I'm doing the sustainability and architecture. It even has a section here called information, infographics, and maps. So very applicable. And again, you can just start to take a look at things that pop out to you and start to catalog and understand what kind of techniques they're using and what are the reasons that you like this particular graphic piece or element. What are the things that they are doing? And I think the most important aspect to start to take away from some of these projects is just looking at how they're developing a visual language that's cohesive throughout the project. And they do that through a number of ways. In this case, they're really using color and a similar type of line work to drive that continuity in terms of graphic elements. Okay, the next website we have is powertotheposter.com. This is great for just looking at different posters and categorizing those based on different topics. So for instance, I really like the texture that they're using here and how they transition from the colors and the transformation from these very small red dots and then filling the page, and eventually it's these, I guess it's kind of like a green tealish dot. So for instance, for this, I would just take a screenshot and kind of take note of some of the elements that are working really well in this particular poster. Another aspect that I like about this poster, I'm just realizing as well, is the title is called Big Data, and then they're using big letters in their poster. So they're, again, going back to some of those diagrams. How can you use even just the letter and the typography to communicate and add on to that communication of the word big data, and then there's multiple ways that you can kind of communicate that concept. Another great resource is designinspiration.com. This you can also categorize by a lot of different things. This is a pretty broad one, but you can look at all different types of things from infographics to graphic design to typography to logo design, and start to catalog items that are speaking to you, and just taking a screenshot, placing that into Figma or Miro, whatever you're using, and taking different things from these elements. Is it the texture that you like? Is it the color? Is it the line work? Is it the typography? How do they use hierarchy? How are they organizing things on a page? This is really the moment where you're really learning from other people on how they're accomplishing specific things. And this is just a really helpful thing to do in terms of finding and developing your own graphics. Behance is another one. This is more so looking at individuals who post their own work, but you can also put in different categories, and then you can maybe find an artist in particular that you like or appreciate, and you can kind of go through their work and start to understand their different projects and what types of work that they have worked on. The next example is itsnicethat.com. Let's go back to the homepage. This is also just another really great resource, a lot of different information, and you can search different categories and go from there. This one might be more familiar to you, which is Pinterest. This one is pretty good at searching a particular thing. So let's do sustainability info map. And you can cycle. What I do like about Pinterest is that you can cycle to different images, and then it starts to find similar graphics based off of that image. And so it's a helpful way to kind of keep clicking, and then kind of getting at a specific visual language that you're looking for, or just different ideas of how you could tell a story or communicate an idea through using visual graphics. Okay, there's a lot of other resources out there. You can, of course, also use Google Images, but this is a really helpful starting point. And let me know what you think, and if you have any other resources that you have found really valuable in the past.